Hey everyone, it is Natalie from Being Intentionally Creative. The last video, didn't think it was going to be as long as it is, but sometimes when you're working on your videos, you try and show what you need to show, and sometimes even when you're limiting what you're showing, the videos take over. Anyway, I'm not going to promise this one won't be a long video, but I'm expecting it won't be. I have this mold, and this is the one we're going to be working on today. I'm not going to tell you what it is right now. You may be able to tell by the shape of what it is. I've already done it, but it's an extremely cool mold. Like, when I did the first piece, I was blown away by how well the piece turned out. I have a multitude of colors. The resin that I mix up, I'm going to be using granite gray. And then I'm going to be coloring this mold in 6 different colors, which may sound really odd, but I'll explain at the very end why. So I'm just going to put that off to the side for right now. I'm going to be using silver gray and silver black for part of it. I am going to be using white and seashell white for part of it. And I am going to be using basically 2 types of gray for other parts of it. And at the end, as I say, I'll explain why. So I'm going to start doing a little bit of the coloring with you online here so you can see. And then I'm going to carry on and do some more. So I'm going to be using some of my makeup brushes for this, just because it'll help with getting, certain colors where I want them to be. I'm not sure if I need the mica brushes. I don't think so. I'll grab one anyways, just in case I change my mind. Yeah. The colors are close, so I shouldn't need more than 2. The piece itself takes approximately 180 mils of epoxy resin. So that's cool. I already know that. And yeah, let's start decorating. And I'm trying to think where I want to start. And what I want to do a little bit of is I want to mix. And I'm not sure if this is the right thing to mix it in, but I want to mix a little bit this seashell with the white. And I was trying to think, because of the coloring, I'm attempting to come up with. I'm wondering about, what am I wondering? Mixing some of the other colors. But we shall see. We may not need to. No, I don't want to do that. Okay. So I have to ask, what have you been up to? What fun and creative things are you working on these days? As I've said before, we're all creative. It's just a matter of recognizing where creativity lives. So I'd love to know what you're up to, what's new in your world, what's going on, anything that you want to share with us. All right. So take my mold, and it's not very clean. The mold was fine when I got it. Just to let you know, if you're kind of wondering about seeing some darkness in here, don't worry about it. It was clean when I got it. I just haven't, because of what it is and what I'm doing, I don't need it to be super clean from the previous colors that I've used in this. Just making sure I'm getting stuff where I want it to go. Hopefully this will work out well for me. It's a little tight getting into some of the spots, but that's okay. That is perfectly okay. So that's sort of all I need for that in that spot. I just making sure of things. So curious, have you ever gotten a really cool mold and just like you were just in awe when you took the piece out of the mold? I tell you, it's a bit of a teaser that I'm not sharing with you what it is, but you may be able to figure that out. But I just, like I said, when I took the first piece out of the mold that I had done, I couldn't believe it. I was just so impressed. So impressed. And I might, once I might have to reference back to a picture I've got to look at for a little bit of how I need to color this. Anyway. Hopefully mixing these two colors will help to give me what I'm kind of... I couldn't believe this had so many different colors. Not different colors, just sort of the combination of color, just the overall coloring was kind of, oh, okay. And I figured the gray would be the best to kind of overall show it off. Well, because I'm working from a picture. Alright, so I'll just get this sort of, I'll use up the last of that. And then I'm going to let you go. I'll finish coloring this, mix up my resin, and then we will pour together. This is going to be one of these pieces too, where I'm going to be doing a lot of squishing on the bottom. I'm also going to be putting this into I'm going to turn it back up that way. I'm going to be putting it into a container. It's just to support it a little bit more. It's not completely flat here, so I've had to adjust it a little bit when it's come to making it so I get it, the bottom of it level. Anyway, I will keep coloring. And then we will be back. Well, I've got my resin mixed up. I did add, in addition to the granite gray, I did add some champagne and a little bit of the seashell to my blend here. And again, I'll explain more about that at the end when we're done this. I have my container. And what I also need to do is get out some sticks so that I can level this up as I need to. But first we're going to take another one of those out. First we're going to get pouring some of this resin into the mold. I did warm up. As I say, I'm at that time of the year now where I've got to start warming up my resin. So when I've been doing this for the last ones that I've done, I was starting at the front of the mold, but I think today I'm going to start at the back. And I most definitely want to make sure I'm in camera, take some of this, like once I've got some in it, and then I want to move it about. That's really important to me, making sure I'm getting resin everywhere. I made approximately 180 mils. Okay, so we've got some down there. Now I'm just going to squeeze. No, I don't need to squeeze there. I definitely need to squeeze in there. I'm going to flow it from side to side. Like I say, we've talked about this before. Like, what is the best way to get this everywhere it needs to go so that you're not, you're not getting your air bubbles and all kinds of funky things like that. Like And I haven't sprayed this. I don't like spraying it once I have mica powders in it because I don't want to dislodge, you know, the coloring I've done on the piece. And I don't, you know, I don't want splotches, right? Because that's not what I'm gaming for here. So I'm going to squeeze a little bit on both sides of this. And then just sort of, I'll move it out a little bit and then let it flow into where it needs to be. And we'll work it a little bit more once we have some more in here. It's starting to warm up a little bit. I took some extra time mixing this up only because I added the other colors into it. And that granite gray I used, it is a paste. And once we have this where I feel comfortable that I've sort of moved stuff around enough that we're getting everything where I need it to be, then we'll put it into our container and get it, you know, sort of semi-leveled out. I'm just going to pull this because I have had some issues with this. So I just want to sort of pull a little bit and move around. Again, just being very, very careful. Make sure I don't end up with any messed up parts or sections or whatever. I don't know if I feel like pulling at the sides here is going to be helpful. Hopefully it gets it all where I want it to. This is the fussy part. Oh, I haven't had an air bubble there. Beautiful, I got it out. Now I just gotta, I gotta find something to get rid of it with. There we go. Oh, I'm glad I got that out. See if there's any more in there. I'm very quiet about it, aren't I? Okay, so let's pour some more of this resin in and then we'll try that again. And because I don't have a bubble remover, I think bubble removers are probably a great thing, but I also appreciate that depending on the mold you're working with, you know, you still might get bubbles. So it's just a matter of just taking your time with it. And here, I got a big one out that time. Ooh, that's beautiful. That was a big bubble. So we're going to poke it again. See if anything else comes up. I really like this one. The reason I'm being really particular about this one is I'm hoping it's going to be a Christmas present for somebody. So I'm wanting to really make sure I've, oops, there was another one. Did I get all these air bubbles out so it comes out the way I want it to? So I'll just sort of tilt it a little bit there. I've got some tiny ones down there. I don't want that getting down. Yeah, there's another one. And of course, because this is deep, it makes it a little more challenging. Where is? So I'll just, I don't want to do this, but I'm going to do it anyway. That didn't do it. Yeah, I want to get rid of the air bubble. That didn't work out very well for me. Yeah, I don't want really be doing that down it either. If you're going to put the lighter in, just be really careful. Really careful. Okay, we'll do one more shot of this and then we'll get pouring the rest of this in here. All right. Some more of that in there. Because once I get it into the container, that's going to make it really challenging for me to work at any air bubbles. So that's why it's like, let's get these guys out now. There, I got another big one out. I'm glad I'm taking my time on this and making sure that like I said, it's too nice of a mold not to get this right. Okay. I think I'm going to have to stop playing with it down here. Okay, let's get it in here and let's stop with that insanity. So it's got a bit of, like I said, it's got a bit of a lean to it. I kind of know where where the problems are, so we'll just get this kind of laid down, and then I've got more, so I just want to see what I'm in frame for it. Well, here, let's do it this way so you can see. Concentration is on now. Focused, 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 focused. And then I have the container that I warmed up my resin in. I will be using that to cover this up, the bottom of it up. It's just big enough to fit just over top of this container. It's a really pretty color. So hopefully I get it looking the way I want to. I'm sure the person I'm making it for will appreciate it. Just because all right, so we just have enough. Boy, I'm going to be really impressed if I got this set. Like with just the right leveling of it. Normally I go over this side of it, but I kind of think I got it right this time. And I'm also impressed that, yeah, it's the resin amount's working out just right. So I will be curious to know whether you figured out what it is we are making. I just thought it'd be fun not to tell you what we were making. Sometimes there's got to be a little bit of suspense in a piece that you're doing, I think anyway. All right, so there we have it. I am going to clean up and work on, you know, getting rid of any bubbles that may come to the top here. Fingers crossed that I don't get bubbles in the bottom of this mold, because that would be really, really sweet. And once we are ready to take this out of the mold, well, we'll take it out of the mold. I'll see you then. I am curious to know if you have figured out what this is yet. So let's get this out of the mold and see, fingers crossed, that the top of the mold ended up with what I wanted to end up where it, you know, needed to. And, you know, sort of hopeful that the coloring that I did on this came out the way I wanted it to, or close to anyway. So, I want to make sure I do this the right way. I think I did this way. I think. Ugh. As I take it away from you. I didn't have this much issue with the other ones. Well, apologies. And there you have it. That is my schnauzer. Well, not my schnauzer. We have someone we know who's got, I know a few people who have schnauzers. Anyway, I am very glad I spent some time. So let me show you the other ones I'd done. And you'll be able to see a bit of a difference. So this is the first one I did. I now have a crew of schnauzers. So this is the very first one I had done, and I used polyurethane on this one. The eyes look really freaky on this one, and I want to use markers on the eyes. And it was interesting because, as I mentioned, I have a schnauzer, and I would have thought her eyes would be black, but they're actually brown, which is interesting. The person I'm making, the one we did in the video, I don't know what color the eyes are. I'm going to have to see if I can make that out in the pictures I've got to look at. But, so this is the first one made out of polyurethane. I love how the coloring turned out on this. Absolutely love it. You'll notice, perhaps, and I'm hoping you can maybe see under. So I had air bubbles underneath. So let me get my, like I got air bubbles there, and there. Which didn't really bother me because it turned out so well. Like I was just floored when I took this out of the mold. Like just floored by how nice it looked. And the detail to it, like the detail is what caught my attention. I was just, like I said, I was blown away by how beautiful the detail was on it. This is the next one I made. Now, you'll notice the detail isn't as great on this one. I put that down to the amount of bubbles that got into it because and again, hopefully you can see. Let me turn around this way. Like, I got some bigger bubbles in here with this one, and therefore it's like, just because of the detail and not working on getting the bubbles out, I think it took away from, but that's okay, because my schnauzer, I don't, when she is groomed, I do not get her groomed as a schnauzer, I just get her groomed. I don't need her to look like a schnauzer. I'm totally cool with her not looking like a schnauzer. She looks like a dog. But anyway, doesn't act like one all the time, but she is. So that was the second one I had done. Eyes were black on this one. And yeah, I'll have to do the eyes on that too. And then this is the third one. So let's see. So under here, I mean, I have air bubbles under here, but not near what have been on the other two, which is great. Which is great. So is the coloring the way I want it to be? I think it's pretty good. I think it's pretty good. You know, if I made this specific mold for anybody, I would have to let them know I'll get the coloring as best I can with the mica powders, but, you know, to kind of guarantee that you're going to have the exact coloring of your schnauzer, yeah, I really wouldn't be willing to do that. Now, the other thing I'm sort of noticing in here is some flecks, which I'm not fussy on. I, you know, notice them, but you know what? That'll be okay too. So I would just have to work in the future on making sure that my mica powder is better mixed in. When I did it, let me see. And now the other thing is too, some of that might have come off the mold itself. But what do you think? So this was the mold I got from Temu. But I am floored. Oh, and the ears. Ooh, the ears came out really well too. Yay. Because I have a hole in that one. And then this one, the tips. So that's something you're going to want to work with. If you get one of these molds, and some of you may have, you know, the animal molds, you may want to really work on making sure you don't get any air bubbles in them. But the detail on this was absolutely stunning. I could not believe how good the detail was on this. And I will link, I'll go into my my order section on my Temu so you can go and see it, because I was absolutely floored. No way did I think the mold would be that good and that close of a representation to a schnauzer. So if they've made any other molds, dog molds, I would be expecting them that, well, yeah, seriously impressed. Anyways, that's it. Hopefully you will have commented below on what you thought it was. And yeah, so this was a fun short video, fingers crossed. And it was a lot of fun to make. It was a lot of fun to make this. So on to my next video, on to your next creation, whatever that might be for you. Thank you for watching, subscribing, and commenting. Have a creative day. Take care and bye for now.